Hey folks, welcome back. So here we are out on our local lake. But we're going to do a little pan fishing here today. I was going to bass fish, but I don't have a ton of time, so I just figured I'd bring out my pan fish gear. We'll see what we can't do. I have some live minnows just in case, so we may be bouncing back and forth between some plastics and some live bait, so we'll see. So follow us, let's do some pan fishing. Okay folks, so I'm just going to use a little pink tube here with an orange and chartreuse modeled head that I painted. Fishing maybe, I'll probably shorten this up because we're starting to get into the shore here now. I'm right on the edge of the weed line, so I want to make sure that I'm fishing just above those weed lines because those fish will come up out of the weeds to grab it, and I don't want to get too much junk. I'm also going to be fishing with crappie nibbles. Love crappie nibbles, man, for panfish. Let's get on it and get some fishing done. Okay folks, so I'm also going to fish both styles. I'm going to put a live minnow out there first on a jig head. It's 1/48 this time just because the hook is a little bit bigger. I believe this is size 6 hook on here. No, it's just maybe a size 4, I think. But yeah, I'm just going to throw a live minnow on and let it float around, see if we can't get some crappie or even some perch. I know this lake holds some pretty big yellow perch in it for being as small in the lake. So, well, let's see. I'm going to do a dorsal hook on this guy because I want him to fight for his life 100% of the way. So dorsal hooking on a jig head, and I'm only fishing maybe 20 inches down here. So we'll see. Got my rocket bobber on there, and we'll see how the live bait goes. There's one. Let's see what we got here. It feels like a bluegill. Oh yeah. That's a nice little bluegill there on my plastic. So I am going to keep some fish today. There we go. Something hit me on the way in. Let's see what we got here. Feels bluegill-ish. Oh yeah. This one's even bigger than the last one, folks. Those are some palm-sized bluegill there. I like that. I'll tell you what, pound for pound, bluegill is probably one of my favorite fish to eat. And now, if I can stock up here on some bluegill, it'll be fine with me. There we go. What we got on here? That might feel like a good another bluegill. I'd like to get some tanks out of here, I'll tell you that. Oh yeah, folks, these are eaters all day long. Palm-sized bluegill. Starting to get a little forehead on them. I'm in 5 foot of water, but there's like a shelf right here that goes up. So I'm kind of sitting on the deeper part of this shelf, and I'm fishing up, so I'm coming off of that bank down to me in my retrieve, which those fish could be sitting just on the edge waiting for bait fish to cruise along through these weeds and, go ahead and attack. Okay, folks, I don't know why I wasn't recording, but I stopped over 8 foot of water, and I just wanted to see, because I was marking a ton of fish. Yeah, so there's some crappie out there. And that's what I'm marking, is I'm marking crappie, and there are some big marks down there too. So yeah, this one here is, let's see, I got my little trusty ruler here on my pole. This one is pushing 9.5 inches, but I'm gonna let him go. So I'm doing 2 different styles of fishing here, folks. I'm doing just some plastics with some crappie nibbles, as I talked about before. And I'm using a live minnow on a jig head, just to see, what's happening. One starts hitting better than the other, then I'll switch over and, it'll be unstoppable then. Just doing a very slow retrieve, and I'm just barely twitching my end of my pole Now I probably don't have to twitch it. I could probably just do a slow, there we go. Slow retrieve, like I was saying. There we go, here's another little crappie. Yep, my bobber was gone. Okay. So we're getting some crappie out here on some both. On some plastics and on some minnows, but these crappie really aren't that big. Right on the minnows. I think it was that depth change that did it. Yeah, these are all seem to be about the same size. They're 9 inches. Oh boy, that didn't take long, and that feels like a good fish. Oh yeah, it's a little bit better. Little bit better crappie there. So folks, there's a lot of variables when it comes to crappie fishing. You know, I mean, you could be using the right color, the right style. Like right now, I switched over to this pink jig head, 1/16 ounce with a red glitter and chartreuse glitter curly tail, just with no bobber, casting it out without any bait on it, no kind of crappie nibbles, nothing like that, no scent. Just because I want to fish this bait hard. You know, I know it produces. I know there's crappie here. I've caught them on minnows. I've caught them on bobber and a different bait. But I wasn't catching much on the other bait. Now I switched over, so I'm switching styles. So when you do that, if you take your time, you know, as soon as it hits the water, give it a nice steady retrieve, okay? Fish that, a fan cast that maybe 5-6 times if that doesn't work. And you know there's fish in your area and they are biting. You know, count 1/1000 after it hits the water. Then start your steady retrieve. Do that all the way down till the bottom, until it's resting on the bottom, and then do your steady retrieve. Nothing. Then you have to change it up a little bit. Maybe you have to, as soon as it hits the top of the water, you got to reel it in as you're twitching it, you know, or raising it and lowering it, you know, just to keep moving it through the water column like this. So don't give up on a bait just because you cast it out 4 or 5 times and it doesn't work for you. Give it time. Give it time. Let the bait do its work. You know there's fish in the area. They're biting. Now, it's a different scenario if you're searching for fish. But here I know fish are biting. And I know they'll be biting hotter on something other than what I started with, because it was one every 10 minutes. Every 15 minutes maybe I was getting one, and they're about 9 inches. So I'm searching for bigger fish. Okay, I'm out here in 8 foot of water. Water temperature's 51 degrees. It's warming up. I bet if I go to the south end of the lake where it's a little shallower, it's going to be probably in the 52, 53 range. Oh, and I have to take one little break here because I'm catching a fish. There he is. Oh, yeah. Yep. See, I mean, there's fish in the area. I'm catching them on live minnows, and I like catching crappie on live minnows. But, you know, I also like catching them on plastics, you know, because the minnows don't last forever. And that fish is, according to my ruler, is 10 inches long. So he's getting a little bit of shoulders to him. Not much, but he's pretty good. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's just all about trying new things. I just got a minnow out there because it's live bait. But there you go. 10-inch crappie on minnow. So you know they're in the area. I'm marking them on my electronics. I know they're biting minnows, but I like to try to test it out because I know that there's giants in here. There's 14, 15, 16 inches in here. And I'm trying to hone in on just those fish. So we'll see. And maybe one of them will come up and smack this minnow. But for the time being, you know, I'm keeping a minnow out there. And then I'm just going to keep trying with different baits. And I'll keep you informed on what I'm doing each step. Okay. Let's get back to fishing. That dorsal hook, now on the minnow, I'm using on a jig head, fishing maybe 3.5 foot down. That dorsal hook, when you dorsal hook those minnows, you should make sure that you let that fish take it. Like as soon as it takes a bobber under, because the fish eat bait fish head first. If they don't, they'll hold it in their mouth long enough to spit it back out, turn it around, and then eat it the right way. So when you're fishing that dorsal hook, you have to give them time. Like right now, I got another bite. Have to give them some time to take it, you know, so that way you can get that fish. I mean, I just casted this out there, so I know that there's fish out there. So I'm thinking, whoops, oh boy, he's a spry one, but he's about the same size. This one's probably 9.5 inches, so, you know, they're making for good crappie, but I'm really focusing on doing some trophy crappie fishing here. So hopefully we can get some. If not, then I didn't waste any time. It's a beautiful day out here, catching fish. But yeah, I'd like to try to hone in and catch some bigger ones. So hopefully we can do that for you guys. Okay, folks, so see, now I went through my cycle. Nothing hit this. So I'm just going to change now. I went through my whole cycle, my fan casting cycle, my depth and speed changes. I've been fishing with it for probably, I'd have to say, 25, 30 minutes with it. So I gave this one a sporting chance, I should say. Okay, folks, so I think I am going to go with a monkey milk here. We were just talking about that. So I'm going to try this Bobby Garland monkey milk. You know, and as always, folks, you know, I'll leave the link in the description below. Yeah, we're going to fish this same style, though. You know, I'm not going to put a bobber on this just yet, because sometimes they may want it to be on a bobber, and sometimes they may not. If they like it a little slower, you know, and that's kind of what I'm thinking, because the water temperature is still a little cooler, 50 degrees. It's warming up pretty well. Last time I was here, I think it was 45 to 47 when I got to the, oh boy, I'm trying to tie on a bait here, and I got a fish taking my other line down, so hold on here, folks. Let's see if we got, oh yeah, we got another one on here. There we go. There we go, folks. That's a little bit better there. Yeah, starting to get some shoulders on them there, you know, getting that nice thick back. But that's a, yeah, it's definitely a keeper. Okay, so let's try our Bobby Garland here and see if, starting from the top with a nice steady retrieve. After I pause for a moment here, see, this is where I get messed up, because I'll pause too much, and that will be that. I'll mess up my groove here. And they may not want this coming in as fast because the water's colder, so I may have to put a float back on it. Okay, folks, so I switched back over to a bobber. It didn't seem like after, you know, an hour or so of fishing, it didn't seem like they wanted to hit anything that was really moving too fast. So I put on the same Bobby Garland I was fishing with without a bobber. I just put a bobber on it. I just want to see, you know, if push comes to shove, I'll go back to what was working in the very beginning, and that will be that. There he is. Oh yeah. I was on that as soon as I tied that bobber back on. There we go. Oh boy, look at that. Barely had him hooked. Barely. But on that little Bobby Garland. That monkey milk. Okay, folks. Well, you know, that concludes our day today. We got some pretty good crappie out here today. A few nice bluegill. Just remember, you know, don't forget to try new things. I mean, you know, play with the baits you're using, things like that. So hopefully you can do better on the water. Hopefully this video helped you. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Give me a good thumbs up. Go ahead and share this video. Leave me any comments on questions you had. And we'll catch you next time we get out in the water and do some pan fishing. Stay tuned.